Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Pull Up Trade Podcast. I'm your co-host Samson Folk, and I'm of course joined by Trevon Heath, the trade that pulls up. He's pulling up after a drubbing. It's not often I get to say drubbing, but a drubbing at the hands of the New York Knicks. It looked like the Raptors were going to run away laughing. Our dear friend Makai from New York said, why did Brunson even bother suiting up, man? Why didn't he take the night off? And then the Wings started making it happen. Bridges and OG, they went to town. They end up winning by 27 points after being down by 11 almost halfway through the third quarter. I think they broke off a 46-18 run. So the Raptors are now 29-20. We wanted 30-19. Ooh, we
Yeah.
wanted it. And this game was also a battle for the third seed. The Knicks
Yeah.
win. They're comfortably above the Raptors for the time being. Trey, how you feeling?
It's tough. This is a tough one. It's not very often this season where you've just said like we got our asses kicked, and this was one of those nights. When we talked about and we went through some of the playoff teams, the Knicks were the one team where we said they have nothing for them. And the interesting part of this night is they handled Jalen Brunson very well. Scottie, C and B switching on and off on him was tremendous. But I think what we saw with some of the really good teams, the upper echelon teams, they can win in other ways. And they can have nights where some of their best guys aren't playing well. And we saw that today. The Raptors just can't afford to go through stretches like that when they have guys as talented as the Knicks have.
We were saying that Tyler Kolek had the Jamal Shead night. 20 minutes, 5 points, 1 rebound, 10 assists, only 3 turnovers to those 10 assists, and his plus minus far outpaced the starting guard Brunson. I will say Brunson was a game time decision that ended up playing. He had an illness undisclosed. I think part of the lack of resiliency he had for his own offensive game probably was linked to maybe not feeling great. The Raptors, though, I think the big story here is that as much as you and I have both been right, hey, let's take a
Yes.
victory lap. We've been right that the Raptors are better than people thought.
Yes.
Earlier on in the season, we kept asking, are these numbers that say they're elite real? And we would kind of like do an intervention on that and always be like, we'll see. And now they have no numbers that say that they're elite, but they sit in the top four of a conference. I think they're 1-9 versus the top four in the East and the West. And they have the first really topic is this a glass ceiling that they keep running into that they can eventually break through in this season? Or is this a brick ceiling or plaster ceiling? I don't know. What's a
Plus.
ceiling you can't break through? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you feel about their ceiling right now?
I still think it's a glass ceiling. I th-
Oh,
I think what this team is very matchup dependent. There's matchups within the East where I would still give them a puncher's chance of winning a series. I think with a team like the Knicks, where you have wings where you can depend on them defensively and be okay with them one on one and staying in their shell. I think the biggest thing that changed within this game, like the Knicks eventually ramped up defensively, and like always, teams asked the Raptors to hit shots. And even as Ingram was hitting his mid range shots, they stayed within their shell, and the Raptors weren't able to get rim touches throughout. Um, what's interesting with the Raptors, their defense is elite, and they will be able to muck up a lot of games and create turnovers, which is why they were up for. It felt like a decent, but I feel like majority of the game at some point.
yes.
But I think what this team needs to hit a certain ceiling, I think they need to have a really good matchup in terms of like the bracket that they're in in order to win around, and they're also going to need probably an Emmanuel quickly super hot series shooting from three because in games like this where he's non-existent, they have a tough time generating offense.
We won't belabor that point. Quickly had a bad game. The thing is that the Raptors, something they're generally quite good at doing, is suppressing the offense that comes from other teams' wings. When
Hmm.
that hatch, like they do fine when they allow points to centers, they do fine when they allow points to guards. When that wing hatch opens up, then they start getting into a little bit of trouble. And then they have a tough time because I think that kind of indicates that they're not doing a good job of funneling the ball onto places of the court that they want to get it to. And they're a great team when it comes to game planning. Like their scouts are really detailed. They constantly take away the best thing that the other team wants to do. So when the team like the Knicks has an unbelievable heater from Anunoby, 11 for 18, 26 points. Bridges, 30 points on 12 of 15. Josh Hart, 7 of 11 for 22 points. When that swings wide open, and a lot of it is three-pointers, and they're running around, they're chasing, they're trying to make it happen, they kind of lose the rope and their ability to direct where the offense is going. And they are great, typically defensively, at forcing teams into late shot clock attempts. They're great at draining clock. They're great at pressing. They're great at, or pressuring, I should say, rather than press. They do all these things great. But when you get offense from so many different places, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. They're a tough camel, strong camel,
Yeah.
but it didn't have it all the way.
Yeah, it's you see that in games like this, you just see the talent gap that some of the upper echelon teams have compared to the Raptors. Mikal Bridges on any given night is the fourth or fifth best Nick, depending on how a night goes, and he was able to take up a majority of the like scoring output that Brunson would have given you in a certain night just from hot shooting.
Rim scoring too. He's never
Yeah,
at the rim, and he was at the
literally,
rim.
he was. Yeah, once they extended the lead to 9, the Raptors defense was horrid after. They kind of broke them from there. But the level of physicality, especially that the Knicks play with their size, it takes away some of the advantages that the Raptors have because they brutalize you, they make you muck up the game, and the Knicks can play in multiple styles because of that size, because of the outwardly the other talents that they have. They can score and change the way that they play. I think where the ceiling comes from the Raptors, the way that they win looks very similar for the most part.
Yeah. It's the Raptors are a team that they have to they got to tighten up those bootstraps, man. They got to do it on their own to
Yeah.
some degree. They're nothing really is getting grandfathered in for them. They have no reputation. They don't have an elite level of talent. They have to grind. So yeah, when Quickly doesn't have it on a night like tonight, when Barrett he still has like 14 points, but it takes 13 shots, and clearly RJ, since coming back from the sprained ankle, does not have that same level of pop. It's clearly sapped, but they
Yeah.
still want him in there anyway. CMB, I thought was really strong defensively, but they couldn't
Mhm.
really play him, and it didn't become tenable anymore because 4 points only got up 2 shots. The big thing was like when he went to Grady in the corner and Grady missed that corner three. It's like, man, CMB, you could have just gotten 2 for sure. Could have
Yeah.
just gone up. And so even though Barnes, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, not a home run stat line. Ingram, I thought as far as like offensive process, this was his best playmaking against doubles of any game so far I've seen this season. Obviously, the Knicks weren't doubling him for a time, but when they started, they were throwing doubles that he could see. A lot of times he could see the double coming to him. His playmaking was great. I thought he was good there. And then Jamal Shead, 1 for 4, 3 points. Jacoby Walter, 0 for 6, 0 points. Grady Dick, 11 points. And this now makes the Raptors 14-3 when he reaches double digits. An odd little stat. Again, I want to return to the ceiling, though. The glass ceiling, brick ceiling thing. So we gave the numbers about how the Raptors struggle against, like, let's say, great teams. They beat a
Yeah.
couple good teams. They'll have a chance against the Magic coming up right away. And, the Blazers and the Warriors are probably, like, good, above average.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, the great teams thing, why can't they go up against it? What is this team missing? I mean, obviously, on its face, it's a strong offense because their defense is elite. How do we get
Yeah.
there? We're back. It's November. We're talking again. How do we get the offense we want?
I think where we know what we're missing is the Raptors can't dictate defense because they struggle getting to the rim. Outside of getting in transition, playing fast and making sure teams aren't set. I think that's playing fast is the easiest way to make sure that teams aren't set. I think on the current stand base of the roster, that makes the most sense. Where I think they're going to need to do against good teams. They have to win on the glass. They they need to maximize as many possessions as possible and muck up and slow the game down in order to win these games. Like Detroit, you look at like their roster, they're having a tremendous season,
Mhm.
but you don't look at it and think this is the first team in seed in the East. But what they do is they very good defensively as well, but they win so many possessions because they're great on the glass. Like Jakob will obviously help with some of this, and hopefully he does play at some point of the season. But I think them crashing the glass and just being bastards, as you say, at the rim, like gives them a fighting chance against some of these better teams.
Also, on top of that, too, basically, the Raptors, they don't want to be a team that presses all the time, but they like
Mhm.
to be able to throw it in. If you have, and I think they are third percentile this game among all NBA games this year, they had one of the worst points per possession, 92 on this game per 100. The Knicks, they had in this game, for reference, Jesus, 120. 120 per 100 possessions. So this is pretty good, not bad. And the Raptors, the reason why Kolek was so much more effective than Brunson is because the Raptors are trying to impose their press. They're trying to slow the game down. But if you're not scoring, then if the Knicks push and they have a guy like OG who will drive the rim, they have a guy like
Yeah.
Bridges who usually won't drive the rim but did in this game. Hart will drive the rim. It kind of changes the complexion of how many weak points there are on your defense. The Raptors are really good, as I said before, at funneling into their strong points. In a game like this, that's why Kolek was better than Brunson. He speeds it up, he plays it up. The ball goes ahead. They play fast. The Raptors just were completely undone, and obviously, like Bridges, Shamit, OG, Hart, they hit threes. It's tough to
Yeah.
survive that. But on top of that, too, is that the Raptors played super fast. 22% of their possessions in this game came in transition. That's a really high percentage. But guess what, man? Their points per play was 76. It's one of the worst transition scoring games in the NBA this year. So when we look at this team, I hate to ask again because it
Mhm.
was papered over, and we said when it was papered over that perhaps something's being papered over here. But shot making,
Yeah.
where and is it worth it to go? I know everybody wants them to hunt a big body, let's say. Some people want a star trade, some people want to get under the tax. Is it worth it at all for you to go try and hunt for shot making anywhere in the market?
I don't think it makes sense. I think the Raptors are in the spot that they anticipated to or really hoped they would be. I wouldn't say anticipate. Um they're right in the middle where they want to be. They're getting to see their roster play meaningful minutes against some of the better teams in the league, and games like this game absolutely mattered. They played for the third seed today. And you can see in the summer the gaps that you want to fill when it's much easier to make trades. It'll be much cheaper as well because you won't be competing against contending teams trying to make trades to really punch up. I think you're okay going into the playoffs thinking if they can stomach and win a round, you're laughing. This is a home run for the season. But if they don't, you're also looking at it in a way that it was a complete success. Did the trade absolutely worked? They have another draft pick to add to the core of this team, and you have multiple guys where you can package in some way to build out the team to fit around the guy that has shown you that he's probably worth building around. So I think all around it's still a success.
It's definitely success.
Yeah.
Like I'm not asking the question in terms of is this a failure? More so
Yeah, yeah,
like can they be better than we expected? Not then they're better than consensus. But how
for
where do
sure.
they go from here? But it's you're giving like great perspective in that if you had sold anybody on this, like this is where this team is, they've made no changes. In fact, Pirtle's been injured. He's played 21 games.
Yeah.
RJ's played 26, 27. It's
Crazy.
important that Quickly and Ingram and Scottie have been really healthy, but this is a team that hasn't had an easy go at it. And regardless of if they make trades, they're going to have a chance to do something in the playoffs. And the playoffs are a great, great place to identify, like, hey, what's going on here? Who translates well to this level of physicality? Who's going to help us out, not just right now, but into the far reaches of our franchise?
Mhm.
And you could get stressed about this kind of stuff, but not me. What you can get stressed about, though, brother, is basketball. But don't get stressed about that beer of yours. Your choice of beer doesn't have to be stressful at all. Coors Light delivers mountain cold refreshment, Trevon. And I'll tell you, when the mountains turn blue, the beer is as cold and refreshing as the Rockies. It was so cold, my window broke, the same as S's. The window
Oh,
broke. And, these beer cans are not made of the same supple, wimpy material as these
ugh.
glass, It's cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold certified for a smoother finish. Make sure to celebrate responsibly, people. And also, you must be of legal drinking age to take in Coors Light. You can find Coors Light near you. Visit CoorsLightShop.ca. My next question for you, Trey. Who are
Yes,
the
sir.
playoff risers? Let's predict it right
Ooh.
now on the Raptors roster. Playoff risers. This, I think, is a very interesting topic.
I'm very confident in this actually. I think the first one is RJ. RJ's always been great in the playoffs as a Nick. I think what makes him a riser is the playoffs ask for more physicality and shot making and space for shot making just becomes like really finite just because teams are paying far more attention and there's just more effort. It's guys who tend to be shot makers in space have a much harder time. So getting to the rim and getting rim attempts and being able to score off ball becomes extremely important. Being able to get those, the Pacers are a good example. They're one of the only playoff teams that get like easy points because of their pace, because of guys that play off ball. RJ does a lot of those similar things that could score you easy buckets in times where things are very difficult. So I think him I would say he's going to have an easier time than Brandon. A, because teams are going to really try to take him away and force him to be a playmaker, and B, RJ is going to be the recipient of a lot of the closeout looks that are going to come towards the Raptors. He's going to be the guy punishing other teams by either not guarding up on him or when he is hitting shots, being able to attack that closeout and get to the rim.
I will say the Ingram thing, just for those, his doubled frequency, it's climbing pretty quickly. It has started to really turn. I think as the Raptors started missing more shots, other teams have been like, okay, let's crank up that frequency, especially since so many of those passes have been going to 3-point shots. When I was talking to Caitlin yesterday when we were doing the podcast, I was like, hey, we went and looked up what was Quickly's expected field goal percentage off of Ingram doubles, and it was like he was underperforming his percentage by quite a lot. And it's just like sometimes it's shot making. Regardless, what you say about RJ makes sense. I don't think like he's probably not. I wouldn't qualify him as a proven playoff riser to this point.
Yeah,
I
hasn't
think
played enough.
he just maintained usage, which it's still valuable. He maintained usage in a Knicks series where the Knicks were like, we need usage. And RJ being able to still score like 19 points per game in an 11 game playoff run mattered a lot. And the fact that because efficiency takes a dive league wide in the playoffs, certainly,
Yep.
the fact that he kept it around the same level was meaningful. Playoff riser, though, I think Scottie, you
Yes.
have to hope. Like you, and I know
Yes.
you took RJ, so you could tee this up for me. You have to hope
Mhm.
that Scottie is a playoff riser, a real deal playoff riser. The only series he got to play in, he looked like he was going to be. He was
Yep.
punching up at the idea, and he was battling nagging injuries and very like real sprained ankle season. So the idea of Scottie in a more physical environment where not only does he get to be more physical defensively, so you expect to see that go up, where forwards and wings who can rebound more than they usually do become more important. He satisfies both those things. And guys who are really comfortable going to the line and with physicality against their own shot, he satisfies all of these needs.
Mhm.
He is the player outside of having like a total strap for a pull-up jumper. Like physical guards who have a strap of a pull-up jumper, when you get to the playoffs, 30 points, 30 points, 30 points, 30 points. I don't make the
Oh,
rules. That's just how it goes.
yeah.
But if you're a forward and a physical one, it's kind of your playground. And Scottie is very well suited for the playoff grind, I believe. If he's a healthy in the playoffs, I think he's well suited to be a playoff riser. The
Yeah,
next guy, or go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I agree. The playoffs play towards his strengths. It's a far more physical game. He's going to be playing more minutes, and he's going to be able to actually use his strength to impose on both offense and defense in ways that likely lead to calls sometimes in the regular season. I think he's going to have an easier time actually scoring simply because he'll be allowed to be a bit more physical in the half court, and he'll be relied on a bit more than they're asking him now, simply because they're going to be so devoid of other scoring opportunities. He's going to throw him the ball a couple times a game.
So, by the way, there's a little bit of Baltimore on your use. Use sound a little
don't, don't
Baltimore to me.
don't put the Baltimore accent on me, please, please.
The next guy we have to talk about. So it won't. We'll talk about quickly, of course.
Yeah.
But Ingram has 2 playoff series under his belt. One is a not a flawless series, but a really strong series,
Hmm.
obviously. 27 points per game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, got to the line almost 8 times a game, over 40% from 3, hyper efficient, 39 minutes per game, just in the meat grinder, went to battle. And that was truly, truly excellent. And the other one is 34% from the field, 25% from 3, and 14 points per game, 3 assists, 2 turnovers. A very stark contrast here. And Ingram is both the level of shot maker who you would, it kind of makes sense to me that one series would be gangbusters and one would not,
Yeah.
because one, on the one hand, he is an unreal shot maker, and sometimes those guys just rise above it all. He literally rises above guys to make shots. He's also a more slender guy who can get
Hmm.
pushed off of spots, who doesn't have an incredible nose for the rim. And when you see like his free throws get cut in half from one series to the next, you wonder, okay, so what does this look like? Where do you land on it? The Brandon Ingram of playoff rising.
I think with Ingram, it's matchup dependent. If he can match physically with, like, the series he played well was against the Suns, and it's because he was being guarded by Mikal Bridges, a guy who's also very slender. He can match physically. Like with Bi, trust the shot making. I think where I will probably have struggles is he going to be, because right now in the regular season, like, teams are very willing to give up mid range shots. Even the Knicks tonight, they're willing to give up shots. In the playoffs, that space just isn't existent. Exi- doesn't exist, because teams are playing with more effort and more aggressive. And if isn't able to create space and also isn't able to get to the rim, how effective is he in an actual series if the playmaking also isn't there? I think it really depends on who's the wing that they're playing in. The 5th seed right now is the Cavs, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken.
Because they won, right?
Yeah, it would be the Cavs. So you're looking at the Cavs might actually be a decent matchup for him, to be
Wait,
honest.
the Cavs are actually tied with the Raptors right now.
Wow,
They're both 29 and 20. They've come
they've won
on,
that
man.
many games. Okay, they've turned it on.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a series that probably will work for him. But if they play Philadelphia, that might be challenging. Kelly Oubre, very physical player. They might throw Paul George on him as well. And then plus you have like Embiid, who, even though he can't move, is still a skyscraper that allows you to play in this tight shell. That's going to be a hard series for him. So I think it just depends on who the wing he's playing against.
It also depends and on just how the Raptors are willing to help Ingram.
Hmm.
You and I have said for quite some time, I'll take the brunt of this. For the Ingram fans complain every episode. I'll take the brunt of this. I have critiqued the playmaking.
Yeah.
Certainly. I've asked for a little bit like a better process there.
Hmm.
I like the rebounding he's brought. I've liked a lot of the defense that he's been able to bring with his length, and the shot making has been the shot making. The thing is, the Raptors don't put him in the easiest spots. They can do more to enhance his on-ball stuff instead of just asking him to play make against flat defenses and to read blind doubles. And like, yeah, obviously it's superstars read blind doubles. They make mincemeat out of blind doubles.
Yeah.
But Ingram has not. I would like to see that kind of stuff come around, but the Raptors, they have to be able to help him out more. They have to be able to put him in stronger positions and let some of that shot making really breathe and let it help out the team. Emmanuel quickly, that's I mean like we'll each try and pick a rotation player, like a
Yeah.
random guy who's never been to the playoffs, but the last guy who you have to wonder about is quickly. I'll read the stats. I'll collect them here after you, but you go ahead and tell me what you think.
If there was a faller that we were going to pick, he would probably be the one. I have a lot of worries about him in a playoff series, just because he's a guy that also isn't in the regular season, has shyness from taking off ball shots and getting set and getting ready. Some of that could be due to his mechanics, obviously, but he isn't a guy that is a force off the ball already. And in the playoffs, the guys are fighting over screens to make sure that you don't have space to take jumpers, and it becomes a lot harder. Even in this game tonight, he had to dribble through tight space through the Knicks shell, and majority of those shots turned into a floater. Teams, Emmanuel quickly, obviously throughout his career, has been one of the better floater makers, not as a Raptor, but in the NBA. Teams are going to take floaters 9 times out of 10 as a jump shot. They're just very difficult shots to make. And what I struggle when he's in the game and is reliant on his floaters, that he isn't creating opportunities for other people around him. So I do see a potential where late in the game he isn't scoring the ball, isn't bringing it defensively, and Jamal ends up playing just to give them spark and allow them to play a certain different style because of his inability to get to the rim.
The big thing, so his rookie season, he played a playoff series. And
Yeah.
playoff series are small samples, so you can read into playoff riser if you want to or not. Honestly, some people don't believe in it very much, and they
Hmm.
just say like it's too small a sample, it's all shot variance. If that's your thought too, that's totally fine. That's not how I see the game necessarily, but everyone has their idea. He played a rookie playoff series. You don't want to ding him for that, but he did play in 2022-23. They did go. He got a lot of votes. He was second in sixth man of the year voting that year. 15 points per game, 4-3. He was fairly efficient, and he played 29 minutes per game. They get to the playoffs, drops down to 22. That's a big indicator for me right away, because coaches, even if a guy isn't making shots, if they like the process, you still get minutes in the playoffs. That's
Yeah.
why RJ maintaining his usage and the points, even with a slight dip in efficiency, was important. They still played him because they're like, no, we need that threat. IQ, 8 games at 22 minutes, 35% from the field, 24% from three. It was not a lot in the way of assists, not a lot of, like, one assist per game, not a lot in the way of creation. And I watched those games back then being like, this guy's floating. There's not a lot of punch to him. And he's a better player now than he was then,
For sure.
but not an incredible amount. Like that season, he's 23 years old. He's now, what, 26? There's been some development there. I hope that is the type of development that has insulated him against the worries that come along with a playoff series.
Mhm.
Because an Emmanuel Quickly playoff series, a great one, would go a long way for these Raptors. And if they have, as you mentioned, if they have any hope of getting out of the first round, they're going to need Quickly to punch up or beat an opposing
Yeah.
guard. One of
Yep.
the backcourt players there. And his history does not look kindly. The limitations in his game, it's easy to worry, but there's all the potential in the world to just be better, and he could be.
He could be. Yeah. I think he's the swing of whether of what they can do both offensive and if they can win around. When he's hitting shots, it forces teams to step up and allows them to get easier looks at the rim. Right now, he's undershooting towards his talent, and you can see how the Raptors, his correlation to him hitting shots and the Raptors winning is very high. Both of their like longest streaks coincided with him shooting the piss out of the ball. So it, I'm hoping I'm wrong, obviously heading into a series, but he there's stuff in his game that are clear flaws that allow you to say, even with added minutes in a playoff series, is his 3-point attempts gonna go up?
Tough. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. So I'm going to preface this with, if we're going to talk about CMB, there's a really important thing here. I know he plays in the front court, but the Raptors just played Josh Hart. 37% in 2023-24 in the playoffs on 4.5 threes a game. 37% on 3 threes a game last year's playoffs. He made enough shots, but teams still helped off of him, and his presence hurt the hell out of great Knicks offenses, great Knicks teams. And this is where CMB, I am in love with how he's played so far. I believe that he will work to become a guy who doesn't screw up your offense in the playoffs. But for this year, I do wonder if some of that passivity on offense, if some of that lack of punch, he can't just be like an in-betweener guy. And if it's harder and they just keep looking at like Sandro, instead of 22 minutes per game, is 26, 27. I'm not sure. I would like to pick CMB as like the guy, the playoff riser. But if my money were somewhere, I think I would go with Jamal Shead, partly because they're still going to funnel shots elsewhere, and because the Raptors have gotten to this point, to 29-20, largely behind really strong 2-point guard lineups. And they are going to want to go to those in the playoffs. They're going to want to pressure. They're going to want to do they're going to need his playmaking. And it's a swing if he makes shots or not. Who knows? But they're going to need the rest of what he brings. And that would be my guess. It's he or Sandro for me, I think.
Yeah. That was Jamal's my initial pick. I'm gonna go with Jacoby then. I think he has
threes.
I think his defense has a chance to be super effective in a more physical playoff environment. In the same way where Andrew Nembhard obviously is a great defender in the regular season as well, but it really pops because he's able to put the mitts on people in the playoffs. And Jacoby, his best skill defensively has always been like the level of physicality he plays. The Raptors are going to want to press a lot of teams, and there will likely be 1 to 2 games where his shooting, he hits enough shots where his minutes go to 25, 26 minutes and helps you win a game because he's able to guard the best player on the opposing team. And that's a huge swing for a rotational player.
Iman Shumpert used to be like, especially when he played on the LeBron teams, he was kind of like a coin flip. Like maybe it could be a game where it's just quiet, or it could be a game where he hits 3 threes in the first half and you're like, oh, this is massive.
Yeah. Iman Shumpert, one of the best storytellers. I love his little clips. They're like, man, when I was with the Cavs, they didn't let me be me. They're just like, oh, they got Braun, they got Kyrie. They're like, Shump, you can't be yourself right now. You just got to be in the corner. I like the level of delusion you would have to think that, like, they looked at LeBron, they're like, oh, we know you're great, but just bring yourself down for LeBron James is insane.
Was that Ricky Davis? Who was it that got, he was on the Cavs, he's their top scorer, and LeBron got drafted there, and he was like, well, they're getting LeBron to help me out. He's like, brother, if you only, it's put on the Coach Carter voice. Well, I guess we'll have new leading scorers then. You know what I mean? Iman Shumpert. Okay, so he left Cleveland. He was scoring 4.4 points per game in that last year. Next year, Sacramento, 8.9 points per game, baby. Doubled up Iman Shumpert. And yeah, he went from New York, 9 points per game, to Cleveland, 7 points per game. He must have loved the extra assist and a half from doing
they're good. they're a good comp for each other because they're going to play essentially the same role. And like Jacoby does like Josh Hartify an offense because teams aren't going to guard him, even though he's been shooting the ball like fairly well um, for the opportunities he's had.
I find it weird. I
Yeah.
am actually a little bit surprised at how, and I guess like Jacoby, what is it? It's after an 0 for 6. I don't know. He's probably sitting around 36, 37. It's below 37 for sure in terms of what he's shooting from three. Oh, it's below 36 coming into this game. It might be at
Okay.
like 35 after this game. You know, given the shot diet, I guess you just like make peace with it. Man, it was nice when he was hot from three. Why can't the
It
Raptors
was.
shoot, man? What the hell is going
The Noah board's
anyway.
doing this dirty, man.
Yeah, no kidding. That's one of those guys. That feels like a podcast though.
Yeah.
Myself will be back Saturday. It's next Saturday with Lewis. We'll be doing a trade deadline thing, something like
Yes.
that. And we're not
Of
talking
course.
any trades on this episode, but there's plenty as we get closer. We'll chop it up. Trey, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I know the deadline is next week, but the Patriots lingo all year has been we're all we got, we all we need, and I feel the same way with this team.
Wow.
On to Orlando.
No wonder you're able to that's the secret, man. That's why you can maintain the optimism so well. Is your other team is in the Super Bowl. You're just
After
like
being, they're. I was looking the other day. They're the most unlikely finals appearance in the history of sports. They're literally the last place team.
is
And they
that
made the Super
that's
Bowl.
the first time. What about did the Spurs do that with Duncan and
They
Robinson?
did, but did they win were they the worst team in that season? They did win the lotto though.
Yeah, they probably weren't the worst. They're probably like close. But I guess the lot it's not the same. Like the lottery situation for the picks in the NFL is not the same. But man,
Yeah.
from last to first, potentially. They're not first
Yeah,
yet. But
gotta win one more.
do you got a prediction for us? I mean, obviously you're gonna pick your team. It's football.
Yeah, of course. Patriots 24-17. They're gonna shock the world one more time.
How many touchdowns is Drake May throwing?
2. He injured his shoulder in that game, so I feel a lot better about how he played. I feel a lot better. So I'm gonna say he's 2 touchdowns, point to the sky, thanks God, and says I'm going to Disneyland.
Big shout out, Drake May. Best of luck. We'll have a couple more podcasts in here before the Patriots actually line up to do battle and win a Super Bowl. Thank you to everybody for tuning in with us. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hype. All that good stuff. Make sure to go buy some Coors Light beer. Lock in. And enjoy yourself. Yeah, have a good time out there. And whether you got into this in the morning or at night, from myself and Trevon, have a blessed day and goodbye.